Good morning, everybody. Looks like I just woke up because I did. Yeah, my hair is kind of whatever, but I don't care. But I just want to be clear, okay? If your pet may seem to have it, I don't think there's any tests for pets for the coronavirus. You probably gave it to your pet, okay? Your pet would never ever give you the coronavirus, any way, shape, or form. You would be the one to give it to your pet. So I've seen some posts around that talk about people dropping their pets off at the hospital or at the shelter because they think they're going to catch the virus from their pet. No. If you have the virus, flu virus, or the coronavirus or anything, you're going to be one to give it to your pet. They won't give it to you. So you're in this together, just so you know. And my dog has had a touch of it. There she is. But she's doing great. Sugar is doing amazing. I love my dog. And and also too, some people were off the protocol for a little bit, like the last 5 or 6 months, and they're back on it because they have to adjust their nutritional intake. They have to address, hey morning Kathy, their nutritional intake for the environment. It's like yesterday I felt like I had to eat a bunch of food. And I did, not a lot, but it felt like what I was eating wasn't enough. So sometimes your body is going to want to take in more food because it has to fight. It needs the fuel for the war. Okay? And I find it interesting. I still see people on my Facebook are like, oh yeah, to fight this war with this virus, take your fruits and vegetables and herbs and non-processed food, and that's how you fight this disease. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? If anything, I mean, no matter what, if you're not doing the Jillyjuice, if you already have imbalances, it won't matter how you adjust your nutritional intake, it's not going to be enough. So this truly is for people that are on the Jillyjuice, of course, because I'm speaking to my Jillyjuice crowd plus others that are watching. But yeah, you need to take in more food, you take in more Jillyjuice because you're going to have to really fill your arsenal with the nutritional everything. I mean, you're going to have a diverse amount of nutrients, minerals, acids, okay? And then you'll be experiencing, some of you might experience some symptoms. I've heard somebody say that you've experienced some symptoms, but you haven't yet. But the UK and Britain and the USA, we haven't really reached our peak yet. Some of you have felt some major symptoms. You felt like you've been through it, and that's why you're back on the juice because you need to really support your body. Others of you haven't felt it yet, so it's still kind of like you think that maybe you might not because you're on the Jillyjuice. Just assume that you haven't had it yet and just keep drinking the Jillyjuice. Okay, just assume that it's looming, it's going to be there. Assume that you will eventually meet the coronavirus in some way, shape, or form. So don't get too complacent and think that what you've done the last couple of years is going to be enough. Because most likely, if I've seen you recently, it hasn't been enough. Most likely, if you're still dealing with some of the same issues, it hasn't been enough. So you're gonna meet this virus in some way, shape, or form. So, but I hope that you don't. I hope that some of you that are doing the Jillyjuice have taken enough to where it's not going to be a major problem. It'll be just like a little bit of a cold or a little bit of a headache or, 24 hours or 2 days of some uncomfortable, mucus. I mean, that's what I hope for all of you that are on the Jillyjuice. But it may not be so, okay? You may actually experience some pretty aggressive symptoms. But with the Jillyjuice, it will energize your system to work the way it's supposed to get it out. To get the mucus out, to get the poop out, to get the pee out, to get it all out. And that's what we're shooting for with the Jillyjuice, especially in these times. It's not going to be just for the coronavirus. It's for everything else that's out there and everything else that's in your body that you haven't dealt with for whatever reason. And when the environment is that much more aggressive, it's going to bring up the evolutionary process. Okay? Evolution or de-evolution. That's what it comes down to. Some of you will evolve, and evolve is basically adapting or upgrading. So if you are, hey Lillian, if you are like religious, which I understand, and you don't like to use the word evolution because it has a lot of baggage. Well, adapting and upgrading is the same thing. Evolution is where you're adapting and you're upgrading. That's what evolution is. Now, the atheist community have used the word evolution to where it seems like they are discounting the religion, in the religious book. But no, science, politics, and religion are really an exemplification of life and death. Just a different way of saying it, okay? So if you want to evolve, you've got to deal with this virus in the environment. You cannot suppress your symptoms. I mean, I guess if it's that bad and you guys have devolved to such an extent where the pain is so great, okay, I understand. You need to have a little bit or a lot of whatever medications and immunotherapies and whatever else is out there on the market to help you out. But remember, it's a balance. And if you do too much of the immunotherapies, the pills, powder supplements, and detoxes, and mucus suppressants, then you will suppress your evolution. And that is why people do grow. Everybody grows, but do they evolve? And that's the biggest difference between Jillyjuice and the allopathic holistic. Now, you can evolve. Well, here's the thing: when you have generational belief systems and every generation is dying sooner than the next, they practice the same lifestyle, they have the same belief systems with slight variances before the times. Have they really evolved? When you look at your family, you look at the practices and the traditions that you exhibit, or that all the things all your habits and routines. And it's the same thing that your grandparents did, the same thing that your parents did, the same thing that your great-great-great-grandparents did, the same thing that your culture does. Is there really evolution in that family? Or are you just going through a loop, repeating the same thing over and over again? And so the whole Jillyjuice is attempting to actually have you biologically evolve. And this virus is going to force people to evolve or devolve. And now you are faced with two choices. You're going to try your hand and roll the dice and not do Jillyjuice and hope that you have what it takes to handle it, because, yes, there were survivors in the 1918 pandemic. Yes, the bubonic plague, there were people that survived the bubonic plague. So are you going to be the one to try to roll that dice to see if you're going to be the one to survive this plague without the help of Jillyjuice and think that you may have enough of what it takes? Or are you going to say, okay, I'm going to take control and choose life and support life and know that that you have the power to survive this if you understand what it takes? Because there's going to be some people that will not have that power. There's some people that are willing to roll the dice and risk it, knowing fully well that they are really one of the ones that are in the target groups. And they know that their days are numbered because they're not willing to do the Jillyjuice. They may or may not have what it takes. And it's like that's kind of the choice that you're left with. Okay? So, the Jillyjuice is about evolving, evolution, adapting, upgrading, all the same words, okay? And so if you can understand it from that point of view, and that de-evolution is the people who are suppressing their symptoms, that are smoking pot, that are working from their aggressive hormones, the ones that are fight or flight or reproduction, okay? Those hormones are the death trajectory hormones. And so you really want to suppress those hormones, okay, the death trajectory hormones, and you want to express the life trajectory hormones, which means that you've got to deal and face with the things that your family has been dealing with and been suppressing for centuries. And so now is a time to start, is to see, make a choice. End up like your family or your predecessors, or take a different path, take a different road. Okay, so that's the whole thing with evolution and de-evolution. And this virus is going to bring up every single thing that you've ever had to experience. Some of you are seeing, stuff come to surface. Are you doing more Jillyjuice? Maybe, but maybe the virus is forcing your body to go and try to upgrade. So when your body tries to upgrade, guess what it goes into? Some kind of symptoms. It could be the actual symptoms of the coronavirus, where you're feeling a labored breathing, pain. But I've heard people say that now the areas in their body that are weak are feeling the pain. Some people are getting swelling in parts of their face. in their mouth. And they're not doing the Jillyjuice, but they're feeling some major pain because of their exposure to this virus, because the virus is forcing your evolution or de-evolution. Now, will you give your body what it needs so it can keep evolving? Or are you going to not give your body what it needs so then it devolves? So this virus is now forcing evolution or de-evolution. And relative to what you believe is going to be the difference on if you're going to be on the evolution side or the de-evolution side. Okay? And that's a pretty profound thing, because I mean, it's just like with anything, like I said, when you guys feel symptoms, no matter what, you've been exposed to something, the body goes into some kind of symptomatic type of loop, and either you're going to stay stuck in that loop of diabetes and cancer and disease and all that, or you experience very mild or aggressive symptoms of whatever that disease is, and then you bounce back, and then you get to the next level. And that's usually with the Jillyjuice, is that you'll feel certain kind of symptoms. Like I did. I felt like a headache the other day. I felt fatigue the other day. I felt a little, I won't say mucusy, because that really was not the case. It was more of a headache. And the next morning, the mucus was there where I can blow it out. And then I was fine. Okay. And so that was, a very mild experience that my body bounced back from yesterday and the day before and even today. Okay. So no matter what, if you have a very weak body, your adaptation process is going to be either relatively short. Well, it'll be long, but it could be relatively short based upon, somebody else. Okay. So you could have a very long adaptation process if you have a weakness, or you can have a very short adaptation process because you're very strong. But if you're young and you're relatively healthy, you may have a short adaptation process. But some of you, when they're saying that these millennials with these millennials with comorbidities, they are going to have a harder time adapting because they have so many compound predispositions, pre-existing conditions that they're dealing with, or that are lurking that they're not aware of or haven't really seen yet because they're still in their youth and the environment wasn't that aggressive. Now the environment is going to be that much aggressive and they'll be carriers. So these ones in spring break, they're going to be carriers, and they're going to infect their family who can't afford to be infected, and they will also be holding this virus it's going to rear its ugly head at some point, and it will be opportunistic. And if they're not aggressively feeding their body correctly and taking in the right nutrition and healing and sealing and all of that, they will end up being one of those that are going to be part of the statistics. And that is the reality. So what's the future going to be reliant on? It's going to be reliant on the Jillyjuicers, as well as those that no matter what are going to be strong. And I see my husband as one of those that are probably not going to do the Jillyjuice, because I keep introducing it to him. And I gave it to him a while back when it was the pink salt, and he drank it but didn't like it. He smelled it now. He still doesn't like it. He still won't do it. Okay, fine. He's going to try his luck, which a lot of his friends are doing the same thing too. They're going to try their luck, but we're in Ohio. He's relatively healthy, very strong dude. Has a lot of body to him, but yes, he smokes cigarettes. But, he could be one of those that, they smoked cigarettes back in the pandemic. Okay? Awesome, Laura. He can be one of those from the pandemic, where they survived it and they were smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol and all that stuff. So he could be one of those that will be able to handle this. But I don't know if this virus is stronger than the bubonic plague, or it may be plague proportions. I don't know. But I'm watching my husband very carefully. And any sign of anything that I see, and I'm like, dude, I feel tightness in my chest. Jason! But what can I do? He could be kidding, or he could be actually, who knows? So, whatever. I still watch him very closely. I'm hoping that if he does do anything really aggressive, that he finally will relent and be the 11th hour kind of dude. Because he is the 11th hour kind of dude. There are people that are very proactive and people that are very reactive. And sometimes those opposites do attract. So I'm a very proactive person. Okay, as you can see, I married a reactive person. Okay, but that's okay, because he's probably, he has a lot of strengths in that area. Sometimes being reactive is not a bad thing either. but you got to have a balance of proactivity and reactivity. And that's where you hope that the body, mind, and spirit can balance out the left and the right hemisphere, as well as your proactivity and reactivity, and you have a good balance so you're not leaning to one side or the other. That's the whole point of Jillyjuice, is to bring balance back into your life and everything, where you don't need another person to balance you out. Though it's nice to have that other person as a companion, and maybe we can reconfigure, reevaluate, relook at marriage, where it's not just like, one person balancing out. Now you're wanting to be with this person, not because they have something that you don't have, which actually, he fixes cars, so, but you want to be with them. But if I, was making enough money, I could pay for someone to fix my car. But anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. But that's, what I'm looking at, is that we finally have the balance, the body, mind, and spirit, to balance both hemispheres and to balance your proactivity and reactivity, so that way you can know when to implement that and bring up the necessary fight or flight, but not on a continuous basis. Okay? And right now I'm kind of chill, and my dog is very chill, and my husband is taking this all in stride. So both my dog and myself are making sure that my hubby is going to be okay. And we just do the best we can in these crazy ass surreal times. You guys, this is so freaking surreal. You don't even know. Well, you know. Okay, and so how I know this is really, really intense is because I was hit 5 times by the virus, by some kind of virus, this last couple of months, after 2 years of not having any kind of flu symptoms and being around sick people. Okay, so if the Jillyjuicers are feeling it, then the environment is very aggressive. So if the Jillyjuicers are feeling the environment, because remember, you take in the Jillyjuice relative to your environment. And if your environment becomes more aggressive, then you have to intake through nutrition a whole lot more. More food, more Jillyjuice, more everything. Because you have to support your body to handle this aggressive environment. And once the environment calms down, then you can calm down. You won't have to eat as much. You won't have to drink as much. I mean, as far as the Jillyjuice, you'll still drink water. But if you go to, no different, if you go to Hawaii, Hawaii, and it's 80 degrees, beautiful breeze and everything. And so you don't have to eat as much. But then you go to North Dakota in the middle of freaking winter, and it's negative 50 degrees. You're going to have to eat a whole lot more. Yeah, so that's why in Alaska, they're eating seals and meat, because they need that advanced data pack. You think they can survive on vegan and vegetarian in freaking Alaska? The Eskimos? No, they live off of fat and meat because it helps them adapt to their conditions. That's how you have to see Jillyjuice. Jillyjuice is an adaptation helper. So that way you can adjust your body relative to your environment and support it. That's what the Jillyjuicer is. It's like a facilitator of adapting to your body. That's what Kathy was saying about this. Jillyjuice is like a facilitator. It's like a foreman that was never ever put to work in the right way. So that's what Jillyjuice is. It's like a foreman. It's a facilitator to make sure that you know how to adapt to your environment, and it tells you what food you need. Yesterday I was eating top ramen. I was eating crackers. I was eating canned chicken. I was eating some kind of pesto and a little bit of spaghetti noodles, and I had a shot of Coca-Cola, and I had, I think, 3 or 4 of these, they're my little splurges, little tiny bites of carrot cake and cream cheese, and I my body needed that. Okay, so sometimes you will eat a whole lot more, other days you won't. And so, the Jillyjuice will help you listen to your indicators, listen to your body, so you know what kind of action to take. Okay? And if you feel symptoms on the Jillyjuice, that's called evolution. Don't suppress your evolution. But that's what we've been taught for centuries. It's been a tradition to suppress evolution. Okay? Ask the caveman that. At some point, the viruses and the bacteria and the protozoa, I had a little skin on my lip. And the fungus and all of that jumped the caveman to the next level. Okay? But then we stayed, this way for a lot of years. And then we allowed death and reproduction to be the loop that we all expect. And now we must evolve from that, the death and reproduction loop. Now we must evolve from that. And so that's why you're seeing a lot more symptoms, because the body's trying to evolve, and people are not letting it for years and years and years. Now, back in the Noah days, back in the days of yore, when they were living to be 1,000, 1,500 years old, what were they doing? But why do they look old? Why did Noah look old? Why did he have white hair? Why did Moses look old? Did at some point they just hit the wall after 500, 600 years? I don't know. Evolve or dissolve, Cavitet. Evolve or dissolve. Right, that's true. Yeah, right. Evolve or dissolve. Jeez. But anyways, so you guys, just take the time during your quarantine to just face everything that you've ever tried to run away from or been distracted from, because there were so many, distractions out there. Now they've closed down the bars, they closed down entertainment parks, they closed down the movie theaters, they closed everything down except for grocery stores and pharmacies. The universe gives us many gifts in so many different areas. They disguise it as gifts. Some people think this quarantine is like a whole bad thing. I think it's amazing. I think it's the best thing ever. I think this quarantine is made for those that are on the Jillyjuice, that want to do the Jillyjuice. Okay, so the universe works in mysterious ways. Understand, science comes from different things that you least expect. Okay, it's how you look at it. It's how you look at it. And when you have the government paying for you to stay home, those of you that are lucky enough to stay at home and work from home, or be let go from your job, furloughed for however long, and still get unemployment, this is a gift from freaking God. Okay, take it as one. Take advantage of this time, you guys, because you're not going to get something like this again. As soon as this is over with, it's back to the freaking grind. Take advantage of this quarantine. You now have the time. Okay? You now have the time. There's no excuse. If you can't heal on the Jillyjuice while through this whole, coronavirus thing, then there is nothing that you won't be able to do it when everything gets back online again. All right? So take the time. All right, I'm going to do my thing. You guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.